Hello, my name is Justin Call. I'm the president of Broomstick Monkey Games, and you're about to watch a tutorial video explaining the anatomy of a character card for Imperial Harvest. So I have here before me two character cards that come in the base game, the Bard and the Minotaur. We had 4 characters colored gold and 4 other characters colored silver to indicate characters that started on the Imperial Servants team and 4 that started with the Northern Raiders. And during the course of our campaign, we added unaffiliated characters that have this kind of iridescent look to them with the sort of rainbow pattern around them. And this is purely thematic. When you actually draft your characters for your team, you can draft any of the characters you want. We just kind of give these as suggestions initially when you're starting your first game of Imperial Harvest to play gold versus silver, but you can draft gold if you're silver and vice versa, and it doesn't matter. Getting to the characters cards themselves, though. If you look up here, these symbols indicate an archetype. So this is the rogue archetype, and this is the barbarian archetype. Excuse me, the warrior archetype. We have a barbarian who's a warrior, so I sometimes combine those two. So pulling out some tokens to illustrate which is which. So here are their tokens right here. You can see them. You've got the little arrow at the bottom that indicates line of sight, which is important for the Minotaurs I'll get to in a bit. Let's slide these down a little bit so we can see the tokens. And so when you draft your character, I'll explain archetypes in a bit, but this symbol is going to correspond with your character. You're only going to have one token that represents a character of this archetype. So you can't have 2 warriors on the board. You can only have one, otherwise you wouldn't be able to tell which one is which. So archetype symbol there. Name of the character, self-explanatory. Here in the corner we have the AP that the characters will start with. On the basic side, it's going to be a little bit different than the advanced, which we'll get to in a little bit in our other video. So we're going to go through this one a bit quicker. This is your starting power. So this is the ability that your character has before the game even begins. And down here, this is the ability that your character will gain once they pick up a strawberry. Once they pick up a strawberry, they're going to want to place that on their item slots. You'll notice there are 3 slots, which means once the 3 slots are full, you can no longer carry any more items. You'll have to drop those strawberries off in your strawberry camp or pass them to another player whose slots are empty, which you can do if you're adjacent to that character. Let's say these 2 are on the same team. You could pass 1 or even all 3 strawberries for 1 action point, which is listed in the rules here on the player aid. So we've got item slots, we've got our character illustrations, we've got our AP, and we've got strawberry powers versus basic powers. As far as the powers themselves, there are also certain symbols that are associated with them. Here, for example, this is the once per turn symbol, and you can find an explanation of all of these symbols at the back of our rulebook. And we also have an AP cost. So we have the little AP gem down here. It says, if you spend 1 AP, you may move 1 to 3 spaces towards an enemy in line of sight, which is the direction your arrow is facing. You can reorient your piece once per turn. So if you spend 1 action point, you can move 1 to 3 spaces towards an enemy in line of sight. Your charge ends when you're adjacent to an enemy character, and presumably you're doing this so that you can do your horn attack, which is right there. And you'll notice when charging, this ability costs 0. So that's kind of how the Minotaur works. And then over here we've got may move diagonally. Simple, self-explanatory. You can't automatically move diagonally for free, but you now have the ability to move diagonally, whereas most characters are only able to move orthogonally. Down here, allied characters up to 2 spaces away gain 1 action point, and that's going to be passive. But again, that's only going to happen if you have a strawberry token. So you have to have a strawberry token on your character before you can actually utilize this ability. If you don't have it, nobody gets that bonus when they're within 2 spaces of you. And that is an anatomy of the character cards.